Hello and welcome to another episode of IV Backed. I am very happy to be here today. It feels like longer than a week since we've done an episode, and for you, it probably might feel like that even more so because we ended up taking down the episode from last week due to a misspoken word. We don't need to go into that. We were going to re-upload it, and then the audio wasn't in sync. And you know what? We are 3 weeks from a Kickstarter, and even though I spent a couple of hours trying to fix it, it just was so out of sync by the end of the video that it was not worth uploading. So I may try to re-upload it in the future, but I am sorry that we did not have an episode last week. Because of that, we don't have a giveaway to do because no one was able to comment. So I know that that's not fair to y'all. So this episode, next week, we're going to do 2 giveaways. So 2 names will be drawn next week in order to apologize for missing the giveaway from last week. Y'all, this launch day, I'm so glad Mythic Mischief didn't launch today. And it's not that there's like a wildly powerhouse that's launching that's going to do $1 million on day one. It's just that I love Flamecraft's page so much that I would not have had the time to take a look at it and really appreciate it had I launched another game today. So just want to put that out there that it is probably, I'm overselling it too early. It's one of my favorite this year. I'll give like a final ranking on where I'm at the end of the page, but whew, it's great. We're also going to cover a few other things, some of them that weren't listed on the page. We're covering a noble war, and then we're also covering the Masters of the Universe game and some things to talk about there, which I remembered someone had told me, and then I forgot. And I re-remembered, and I'm excited to walk you through that. We're also going to do a very quick, normally we cover 3 games, a very quick look at Wicked and Wise. It's Weird Giraffe Games. They did Fire in the Library, if you're not familiar. They have been to some of the gaming groups in Nashville that I go to. They're not from Nashville, but they go to the same gaming groups occasionally, and I've met them, and they're really great people. And so I want to talk about their game a little bit, and then we're also going to take another look at Bantam West. Bantam West is in the last 48 hours, possibly getting close to the last 24 hours. I don't actually remember where they're at now. But they redid their page, and they reworked a lot of things. And Kickstarters are always a moving target. And you're updating things to try to increase conversion rates because you're usually buying ads or doing things to drive people to your page. And if they're not converting, then you're like, okay, well, what's wrong? What can we do to improve? And that's on every page. Moonrakers and Veiled Fate changed a bunch during the campaign, a bunch. And you might not notice it because like you might not have a reason to come back to the page all the time. But it was something that changed fairly often. And so I'm really excited to take a quick look. I don't have time to go into as deep as a look as I'd like to on Bantam today, but yeah, let's jump in so I don't lose any more time. Before I get to that, Sebastian, Aaron, Age of Adam, Board Game Co., Dave, great to see you all. Thanks for being here. Noble Dragon Universe Masters. That's definitely what it is. That is what we are doing. There's actually a dragon in a Noble War as well, so it's really a day for dragons all around. So not that small. There we go. Okay, so let's start with Flamecraft here. So I said that this might be one of my favorite campaign pages I've seen this year, and I'm going to stand by that and just say that there are so many things that they just did so well, and like it's not necessarily revolutionary. Like in last week, we saw things that were just like I had never seen before, like the insertable heads, and Iridia, and just so many different things that were really, really unique to games in general. This is just a really solid execution of a page, in my opinion. Just really, really great. Already at $200,000. That's 8 times their original goal. Almost to 3,000 backers, and they're on day 1. I think Veiled Fate's total the first day was around 300, and I think that they could pass that. It's going so well. And I don't know them. This is Cardboard Alchemy. Going to talk about them just a little bit. In their bio, it says from the designer/developer team of Dwellings of Eldervale, Rise of Tribes, and Letter Tycoon. I don't know if we have any other Letter Tycoon fans out there. I'm not guessing that's the one you expected me to touch on, but my wife loves that game. And I love that game. The game is beautifully designed. It's a wonderful game for people that like word games, but also want to play a board game. So it's like, I don't know. It's like the perfect intersection of my wife's and I's game desires. So if you haven't played Letter Tycoon, I highly recommend it. Obviously, there are other 2 games that are listed there, Dwellings of Eldervale and Rise of Tribes, are a lot more popular, a lot more famous. As far as Cardboard Alchemy, though, their 3 created games are not huge. It's 3 created, 51 backed. Their other games are just Mission Catastrophe, which had less backers than this game has already by a considerable number, and then Cardboard Alchemy, Essential Elements. I remember looking at this. I don't actually remember what it was though. It's like coasters, yes, coasters and trays and a bunch of other different things. So it's not necessarily like, it's not like a board game campaign. It's like adjacent components type stuff. Anyway, but 3 created, 51 backed. Thanks for backing other games. That's incredible. 51's a great number. Let's start on the page. I watched the video. I highly recommend watching the video. I don't usually talk about the videos. Alex, you can't compare Adorable Dragons to Veiled Fate. Adorable Dragons. Did you hear that? It is so good. The artwork is so good. I love dragons. I love adorable dragons. Now I want to run a D&D campaign where this is what dragons are like. They're not big, scary creatures. They're adorable little helpers that help you make money. Anyway. Alex said, watch Ivy Games is not going to copy them and try to make their next game all cartoony and adorable. You have no insider knowledge at all. I saw you break the head off my wizard. You better watch out. All right. Okay. Moving on. Mythic's Mischief is now a dragon school. Just kidding. Not true. All right. So moving on down the page, Flamecraft. Enter a world of dragons, tiny artisan dragons, sought out by savvy shopkeepers to craft all manner of tasty and helpful items. These dragons delight and amaze with their Flamecraft. Now, I'm impressed that I was able to read that. I think my only nitpick, or one of my very few nitpicks on this page, is that font is not super easy to read, but I read it, so it's passable. It's readable. And it's thematic, like it's magical, and I think it's fine. The first time I looked at it, I was like, I can't read that. But I figured it out. I got it. All right. Right into this wonderful box art with these little wispy flames around it. It's not really like a key art piece. It's still just a box art, but they've gone out of their way to add so many details to this game. And I think that might be one of the reasons I love it so much. There are so many added details to the page. This, on another campaign, would just be a box with maybe like some kind of background behind it. But they have this like drawn over feel to them in so many different places. And it's just, it's an example of what's in the box. It's not wildly detailed or exhaustive. But right away, compete to enchant the town in this dragon placement game with shared engine building. All right. There is very little text after this. And you get, art by and design by. So two names there. And then compete to enchant this town and dragon placement game with shared engine building. So many games miss that putting mechanics high helps people get an idea of what they're looking at and place everything else in what they're doing. Because if you have minis and you have worker placement, then you know what you're going to do with those minis. If you have engine building, like, okay, I have all these resources. Like, there's just lots of, it gives you perspective and it helps someone know, will I be interested in this game? So I love that is right there. But then they made it thematic. It's dragon placement instead of worker placement. I love that. Also, shared engine building is not something that I have played in a game. There's probably other games that do it, but it's unique enough that I find that immediately interesting. That was something with Veiled Fate, the strategic deduction instead of social deduction was something that people latched onto. They're like, what is this? And we got a lot of flack for people were like, oh, like they tried to name the category like they're the first ones that invented it. Like Veiled Fate is not the first game that has elements of strategic deduction, but that phrasing brought people in. And I think shared engine building, which may be something, and I'm just not familiar with, Alex might blast me in the comments saying, hey, that's a really common thing. I have not played a game that has shared engine building, so I was immediately drawn in and interested in that. All right, then it has card art. So it's not just a beautiful box. It's not just beautiful page art. They've got card art right here. And they actually go out of their way to cover up the actual important details on the card. They're just trying to show off the unique art here. And I think it's really, really great. Yeah. Aaron. And I'm not going to put that comment on screen just because I don't want to be mean to another game, but that cracked me up. Kevin, oh no, this game looks so cute. I'm in it just from the art and seeing the board. Kevin, 100%. I'm right there. Aaron, dragon placement game and love. I love the game from that point on as well. I completely agree. And I might be gushing too much, but I'm gonna keep going at it. I really love this page. I really love it. All around the world there are dragons. Great way to say, hey, we've got other languages. This Lucky Duck Worldwide Publishing logo here. If you haven't seen this before, or at least Lucky Duck associated, I don't know if this is a new logo or not, but at least Lucky Duck associated with Greater Publishing, because you might recognize Lucky Duck from other campaigns. They have an active Divinus campaign right now. They are going to be a partner in a lot of localization in Europe, especially in like Poland and France. That is a service that they offer to other publishers, and it is very enticing. It is they do a lot of the work for you, and they reach out to a lot of different retailers, and they try to get your game distributed. And so this is not designed by Lucky Duck. They are collaborating to distribute this game. And because of that, that means that they get a distributable version in a French language and a Polish language that they can sell on their Kickstarter campaign. So when you see Lucky Duck, in my opinion, you can trust that translation very, very well, especially for French, Polish, other EU, very close adjacent languages like that. So that is a good thing. Lucky Duck is not designing this game, I don't think. They don't have much to do with it other than distribution. That dragon holding up the flags, I'm melting from the cute. No one is watching me or listening to me. They're just looking at the dragons, and I am okay with that. Okay. Moving on down. They have these GIF quote sections. Now, there's a small thing I don't love here. It's a clickable link and then a clickable subtitle under the image. And I feel like it kind of like throws off the flow. I feel like if they got rid of this clickable subtitle and just left it as a clickable link, which might even be a mistake, who knows, it would make the section look better. But because there's that weird spacing thing here, once again, really small nitpicky things, I think it would look better without that subtitle, or if all three had that subtitle. But it is a clickable link, which is the same thing almost. But what I want to talk about in a good way is they added extra space to their campaign by making these GIFs. If you see, they change, which makes them more engaging on the bottom two, because Unfiltered Gamers and Glory Hounds, I don't think their quotes change. It's just their pictures change, and it drew my eye and made me read it, which I like. But the top one, Rado's, the quote changes. And so instead of fitting one quote in, they fit two quotes in, and it drew my eye. And that is important because Rado is a really big influencer in this space. And so seeing that quote is wonderful, and getting two quotes for it is even better. So only Rado's one is clickable. Is that why? Well, you look at that. That's true. You can make these clickable without having a subtext. And so maybe that's what they're going through, but it has the click here to find out more button. So I don't think it needs this subtitle here. You could definitely make that clickable without the subtitle. Subtitle. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. All right. I don't want to be too hyperbolic here. I think this is the best What's in the Box section I've ever seen. Should I say that? I already said it. Okay. I think it is the best. Yes. I think it's the best one I've ever seen. The top one is nice. The top standard edition is nice. It's not blow me away incredible, right? Like it's really good. It's standard edition. It kind of shows the card backs and the card fronts, which I really like. A lot of things never show the card backs. They just show the card fronts. And it just kind of like, it draws you in because it's a very simplistic card back style. And I really like that. And it's just, showing me what's in the game. There's nothing super special about the top of it, but I like how the art transitions into the What's in the Box section. Now, though, you get to the bottom here, and you've got this massive, and I mean massive, 42-inch by 10-inch playmat. It is a playmat that rolls up and goes in the box. I do not believe there is a board in this game. I believe it is all playmat, which is pretty cool. But then we get to the deluxe edition. So let's talk about all the wonderful things about the deluxe edition. There is these wonderful minis. 6 dragon miniatures come in full color, which I love. It's not just a gray mini. And then they have all these amazing tokens. And this is where this is where the campaign page gets really special for me, especially the What's in the Box section, is they have these like exploding out token things where you get to see all the different toast tokens and stuff. And then you have the metal coins, and then you have the exploding out metal trays. And it's not just informative, it has heart. It has like all the dragons have a home right here, which is so cute. Then it has adds to X trays, Y trays. I think it's actually Y trays. The latest modular resource tray from Game Trays. I think this might be a standard tray that Game Trays has come out with. I need to ask Bryce about this because I haven't ever seen this or heard about this before. But if that's what it is, it's genius. And I love how it nests in the box here. The whole box explosion is really, really nice. And something that they talk about in the page is it's the same components in the two sides of the tray, but you put them at either sides of the table because that is a massive, if you go back up to this mat, that mat is huge, 42 inches. Like the Veiled Fate board is 36 inches, I think, across, and we thought that was massive. Like 42 inches is huge. Yeah, I see that people are finding some of the other things I wanted to take a note of. It says things like fits sleeved mini cards. Like that that level of detail preempts questions that you'd have to answer later, and I think it's lovely to have here and something that I want to do in our box explosion. And just like take note of this section in general because it's so good. Okay, dragons didn't make it, but they do make it look good. So it has like a Dragon Maid logo here. There's just like heart in the very informative. Somehow they made it both thematic and informative. And that's a problem that most what's in the box sections have. They don't have enough information. Last week, I talked about one that said high quality cards, but they didn't give a justification for why the cards were high quality. You don't see any of that here. They could be more informative, right? Like it could say like, you know, the cards in this game are 310 GSM. And I probably would have liked to have that information. But the information that really matters is, yes, all the minis fit in the box. Yes, the sleeves fit in the box. Like I love the little details and I love the information. Yeah, it's also funny that they put inches and centimeters. I like that. Okay, going on through some more GIF quotes here with the clickable link. I think they could have done without that, but I guess it really shows that it is a video you can go watch, so maybe it's fine. I just didn't like that these were juxtaposed next to each other here. So yeah. All right, how to play, pretty high how to play. I'm not gonna say it's the highest how to play I've ever seen. Nice little gifts. It's very simple. It's not trying to actually teach you how to play the game. It's just trying to give you a feel for the game. So you visit a new shop. You can either get stuff or you can enchant the shop, which I'm assuming is that group engine building where you're making the shops better over time because anyone can visit a shop. Fire up dragons, and then expand the town. So you're adding more shops, which is probably another element of that engine building. Sebastian says, I don't see the rolled mat in the box, though. Sebastian, it says it fits. Rolls up neatly in the box. You're right that it doesn't show it, but it says it fits. But it would be nice to see it fit in there, but at least they tell you it fits. Maybe the clickable link is something for mobile users. That's a good thought. Good thought, Dark Fox. Wow. I need some eloquence coaching. All right. Maybe the clickable link is something for mobile users. Never thought about that. Can you click links that are pictures? I feel like you can. I guess if you drag your thumb across it, you might have a problem accidentally clicking links. Huh. Yeah, I'll put that up, Dark Fox. That's a good thought. I'd want to hear from more people on that because if that's why they're putting it there, then there's a reason. That's fine. Hey, that's calm compared. All right. Let's go. Read the rule book. I love this is a work in progress draft of this artwork. Like usually you just wouldn't include your art in progress artwork, but their art in progress is so much cuter than anyone else's just plain artwork that they can include their art in progress. And I'm like, ah! So could be accessibility. Aaron, good thought too. That could be why they're doing it. Maybe I would love to hear just like whoever made the page, which I think no, I was going to say, I think I know the person that worked on a part of this and I don't. I would love to just pick their brain and be like, why the things under here? Because I mean, it's truly one of my favorite pages. I'm just curious at what the choice was. Maybe they know something I don't. I'm always wanting to learn something. Cool. Why Kickstarter? Another really excellent section. So it's got this plain white text thing here that's just, this is the best place to make a deluxified, artistic, and thematic game. Chock full of special cards. We can't do it without you, and through crowdfunding. And we appreciate every single backer who joins us for this adventure. As a thank you, we are offering some truly incredible limited rewards. Please note, Kickstarter's not a store, so we made it a statue instead. So they've got this like flames starter statue that's a location, I assume, that you can go in the campaign. It's funny that it's called the flame starter statue and it has water spitting out of it, but yeah, you know. So the flame starter statue is exclusive, and then they talk about what exclusive means. When you see the flame and the K logo, it's only for backers of this campaign, promo use, and limited access via Cardboard Alchemy, which is the company's name. So this is kind of like saying Kickstarter exclusive, but they've also added an addendum that it is really just Cardboard Alchemy exclusive. But they've said it's limited access. And then they go and describe limited. The deluxe bits are one print run. Some of our most magical items will be rare and offered only to backers, retail backers, and partners for this initial print. This is kind of what Jamie did in Stonemeyer's recent Red Rising game, where they did a limited run of the Red Rising Collector's Edition. And that makes sense. And it's something that you can say, hey, we're going to, for this print run, make all the deluxe games that we're ever going to sell. And then you just never do another reprint of it. It can cost you money, but at the same time, it's better than saying it's Kickstarter exclusive, because then Moonrakers ended up with 200-300 Kickstarter exclusive games that we couldn't sell. And that was because we wanted to have that in reserve. You have to have a certain number in reserve for if, you know, there's a fail in some of the printing, or an assembly went wrong, or they're missing components. And so you keep a reserve. And so we're using those as giveaways. We're donating to charity. We're doing other things with them. And that's fine, but it's a lot of money that's sitting there, right? And so by doing it as a limited run, you can avoid that and still sell your leftover stock that you're using as safety stock. And then they have even more reasons here. Bonus art to all the Sandra Tang fans, which is the artist, Sandara Tang, excuse me. We will be offering special mini art prints for free. Normally, I am not interested in this at all. I would love to have these art prints. They're so cool. And then savings, Meeple's already silk screened, the dragons are in color, and the game trays organize your box and brings a huge value. The deluxe edition is valued at $100, a huge saving for backers. It is $79 on the campaign. The secret to the Dice Tower game library, dragons. Tom Vassell knows games are the spice of life. The Spice Tower is exclusive. So there's just some cards that they're only going to be in the Kickstarter, the deluxe edition. Which is called the Flamekeeper edition, which I like. They've got Shopkeeper, Flamekeeper, and then the $1 pledge is called the Townsfolk, which made me laugh. They are doing an incredible, and I mean an incredible job converting. The Townsfolk $1 pledge is 300 people, a little less, 177 on the Shopkeeper pledge, and then 2,400 on the Flamekeeper pledge. So they are crushing that. It's basically 5x any their other two pledge levels combined. It's really a little bit between 4 and 5, but really incredible conversion rates there. That's what you want to see on any campaign that you launch. You just want to see most people going for your highest tier there, or at least your highest gameplay component tier. And so that's a wonderful conversion rate. And it's the page. The page is really selling those game trays. It's really selling those dragon minis. It's really selling just the whole upgrades that they have, which I think are extensive. And obviously the price is a lot higher. It's between $39 and $79. It's double the cost of the base game. And so that's where all those components are coming from. But it's 100% worth it to me. I think that they priced this really, really well. Cool. If you click the link, you are really just clicking the hyperlink graphic. So it is the same link if you click the image and you click the link. That's what I was thinking. Yep. Okay. Aaron says, I love the two-tone for the Thinker Themer. This is one of those details things that I was going to bring up, Aaron, and just how they went the extra mile on the page to make it wonderful. Yes. Like, if you don't know Amy and Maggie, one of them is the thinker and one of them is the themer. They like different things in games. And so they have a dual quote here that talks about why one likes it and why the other likes it. And they like it for two very different reasons. Amy likes it because it has very positive interaction. It feels everywhere you go, you're getting good stuff. There's not a lot of bad choices in the game. The mini world is absolutely beautiful. So Maggie loves the art and the discovery and the new stores, and it just loves that you get to discover the place as you go. And so I think that this quote is one of the best quote executions I've ever seen. The quote itself is okay. It's a little wordy. It's really hard to read. But the splitting of it And the reason because of that, because of their channel, shows an understanding of their channel, an understanding of the previewer, and then also just it shows the content in a really nice way. So I really like it. Okay. Pledge levels, 39 versus 79. This edition is a limited run, so they're never going to print that after this initial run. Who knows how many they're going to order? That's so it's it can be misleading if they have 8,000 backers, which I think they could easily get to if not higher. Then they aren't going to order 8,000 games. They're going to have a safety stock and some stock to sell. That could be 10,000 games, or that could be 50,000 games. And so you limited run is, and they're not going to tell you that. They shouldn't tell you that. I don't think they need to tell people that, but it's most likely going to be between 10 and 15 would be my guess for an initial print run like that. But who knows? Maybe they're going to really, really invest all the profits back into just making a ton of this really big run. But there's a lot to be said for Kickstarter being your biggest fans, the people that are going to pay for that deluxified version. And so you should keep that limited run, because if they were going to get the deluxe edition, they would have backed the Kickstarter. So there's a lot of mind games there and a lot of planning and a lot of looking at data to understand how many of a game you should order in this situation with this edition. Add-ons, dragon miniatures, set of 6-color dragon miniatures. They are just gorgeous. Modeled by Eric Tosco, and the Sandara illustrated them, obviously. I love the GIF here because you got this like spinning dragon, and then you also got like different focus dragons up here. So why are these in the add-on section? They're in the exclusive edition. In fact, all of this stuff is in the Flamekeeper edition, right? We saw all this in that section. So why is it here? It's here so you can do the math. 18 plus 5, we got 23, plus 16 of the custom wood meeples, that's 29. 39 plus X-trays is 49, plus the metal coins is 55, 65. Did I do my quick math right? Yeah, maybe it's 55 or 65. I'm not going back to do the math. And so it's only a $40 jump from Shopkeeper to Flamekeeper, but it's $55, $65 jump to the just add things a la carte. So you're getting a good deal because they've given you a discount, is why this section is here. Or you might just be really budget conscious and know that you want the Shopkeeper, but you really fell in love with the minis. So you add those. I'm not quite sure you'd have the insert. I'd have to go back and look. It seems like the game's tray storage system is only in the Flamekeeper pledge, so you would have to figure out a way to store these. Maybe they'd come in storage, but it's something that you could add if you only wanted to add that. All right, people that I saw talking about the art prints. Another great opportunity here is there's a coffee table art book, which is amazing, $24. That is not in any of the pledge levels. You just have to buy that. And then there is a Bread Dragon plushie, which I have knocked a campaign in the past for having a plushie. It was a D&D RPG campaign. It wasn't actually Dungeons & Dragons, but you know what I mean? It was a 5th edition RPG campaign. And they had like a plushie, and I was like, who would buy that? That doesn't make any sense. And people bought it, and I was wrong. In this case, I 100% understand why you would buy this. Everybody go buy this. If you, in fact, just back the game at $1 so you can buy the Dragon plushie, because this is everything you should ever want to have, because look at that cute little face. Squee is probably what you'll hear when you give this adorable artisan dragon from the world of Flamecraft to someone. Free shipping of 1 plush with a game pledge. That's nice. But who are we kidding? You're keeping the first one for you, right? I mean, they're going to make a lot of money just on this plushie, I think. Like, I am tempted to add it to my order. I don't think IV would like that very much, but I am tempted to add it and just pay for it myself and give it to my daughter, because it is so cute. And it looks high quality just looking at it on the pictures. It's hard to tell with stuff like that. I think that's one of the reasons that they don't do well, is like if you don't have a foundation of the company having extreme quality, then you wouldn't know what the quality was going to be just based on the pictures. It's kind of like McDonald's when you see the hamburger in the ads and then you get the hamburger. Like, you just know that the picture is like stylized to make it look good. And you wouldn't believe that a McDonald's hamburger will ever look that good. In this case, I think because of the art, because of the style, because of the different components and the quality, I know that that's going to be at least a quality that I'm happy with, if not excited about. So, all right. So just like we saw before in that last campaign, they have coasters that they've done in other campaigns. And so that's something that you can add here. And then going on down, you have the artisanal dragons, just more explanation on them. I am not going to go through all of this. Remember, I usually don't cover gameplay. I can say I'm excited about it and I can cover elements of it, but you can read this all yourself. I think the art is incredible, and I love what they're doing here. I even got fancy dragons. Check that out. So yeah. An event calendar. I love event calendars. I think this one took me a couple of minutes to figure out compared to something like Ice had a really wonderful event calendar. If you want a good example of an event calendar, I'd go check that one out. This one was just like, okay, well, I found the pink number, and then the pink number's a live stream, and then that's on the 13th. So I'm going to go down to the 13th here. It was just a little bit too many like steps. I wish it was just like listed, but it's cute and it's thematic, and I think it's nice. I just wish it was a little bit easier to discover. All right, puzzle dragons. This is something that we got to talk about now. If you go all the way back up here to the add-on section, the fancy dragon mini. Okay, so I saw this and I was like, oh, interesting. There's a mini that they designed that is not with the other dragon miniatures. Why? Why is it just a $5 single add-on? It's a Kickstarter exclusive. It's got the flame and the K next to it. 7th miniature, 35 to 40 millimeters in size. Also includes a wooden dragon meeple and a heart token. So it comes with a couple other things. Free offer. Everyone can get this miniature by solving any of the Flamecraft puzzles. See puzzle section for more info. I believe that means if you go down to the puzzle section that we were just at, and you solve any of these puzzles, and you can prove it, you will get that included in your pledge for free, which is awesome. I love that so much. Oh, dang it. It's 30 minutes in, and I'm still talking about Flamecraft. Yeah. Okay. It's wonderful that they are doing this. It's such a good interactive element. You know, people are going to be joining the Discord because the Discord has hints. It tells you which one's easier, but you know people are going to want to figure out all of them, especially if they get on their Discord and get excited and they start making friends and they're all talking about how to solve this. It's kind of what we tried to do with Enter the Temple, but Enter the Temple didn't have mass appeal. The people that did it loved it. They absolutely loved it. But we didn't have that many people do it. This is something that is way more approachable, in my opinion, that I think a lot of people will do. And I love it. I think this is just a wonderful idea. My only complaint, and once again, super nitpicky, I'm in love with this campaign, is I don't know if this dragon fits in the insert. I assume it does, because up in the what's in the box section, it says all dragons have a home. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dragons, and there's not a pink dragon there. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dragons, and this dragon's pink. So I don't see it going into the box, and I don't see anywhere on there that it fits in the box. So I would want to know, does it fit in the box? If it doesn't, where do I put it? Cool. Moving on from that. Down to the puzzle section, we're just going to look at some silly stuff from here. Their stretch goals are not out yet. I think this is really smart. I think a lot of campaigns make a mistake of listing all their stretch goals right from the get-go. They have a huge first day. They unlock 20. Don't do that. I think if you know Kickstarter, you know stretch goals are smoke and mirrors. For the most part, I think there are some campaigns like Bantam West where it's not smoke and mirrors. That's the money they need to do that, right? Stretch goals on big campaigns are usually somewhat smoke and mirrors. And so I think it's a very good idea to not list that yet. And that's just really industry standard. But I love the little dragon tail sneaking out. Super cool. Cool. Gameplay. So then we got some videos. I'm going to skip past all that. Retailers, we want to work with you. Shipping. Lots of good shipping information here. It's all done after the campaign. It's shipping plus VAT, so they talk about that. The standard edition and the deluxe edition are under market rates, I would say, for shipping, so they must be subsidizing that a little bit. But it's not a lot. They might just have really good rates with their distributor. And I would say across the board, those are low prices, which is great. So I would definitely not be worried about the shipping cost when considering it to buy it or not, especially because the discount is over $20 on the Flamekeeper pledge. And so if shipping is, $12 to the US and $14 on the Flamekeeper, I know I'm still saving money by buying on Kickstarter. Even if by some miracle I found the deluxe edition at retail, which doesn't seem is going to be super likely, I know I'm still going to save money by backing on Kickstarter. So yeah. Yeah, Kevin says shipping is cheaper than I thought. I agree. Was thinking around 20. Agreed. Okay. Got a little bit on the art. I'm gonna blow through this because I am running out of time. Yeah, that's it. Let's do it. Let's move on. I really, just in summation, one of my favorite pages I've ever looked at. This will be a page that I reference for years to come. And the artwork is just so good. This is something that I'm going to get delivered, and my wife is gonna be like, "What's that?" So I'm really pumped to get this in. Okay, next we're gonna be talking about a noble war. A noble war is something I have seen coming up in my Facebook ads for a little while now, and I'm excited about that. If you guys haven't seen this coming up in your Facebook ads, maybe I look at Facebook too much, or maybe I'm just like the quintessential like Facebook Kickstarter person. Who knows? But there's a lot going for this. I really like this campaign. It's obviously not going to break into my Flamecraft status as far as a campaign page goes. But remember, I haven't played these games, so I am not the person that you should go to and be like, oh, Austin said that's a good game or a bad game. I am looking at this from a publisher's perspective and trying to learn as I'm looking and just explain what I think they were kind of thinking and doing as I'm looking at the pages. So, a Noble War, $23,000 out of 50,000. This is their first day, so I mean they could easily still fund this on the first day. I don't think there's any doubt of it funding in the subsequent days. But it is something that I I heard a few words about on a video from Jesse and was instantly attracted to it because so the words were I gotta find it in my notes here because I really wanted to talk about it. Dang it, did I not write it down? Oh, negotiation and subversion. I love both of those things a lot. Twilight Imperium is one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time, and so that sounds like that to me. And if this has elements of that in a much smaller package, I'm going to be interested. All right, cool. All right, so Noble War, right away, we got this image. You can see there's lots of minis and a pretty massive board in this top image. And then a big dragon and some buildings. What is all this about? All right, so before we get to that, this is Zach Wiseman, 3 created, 42 backed, so no problems there. Sea of Legends is the big one that you may have heard of. And that's something they do call out on the page. And it is right here, from the creators of Sea of Legends comes a Noble War. So I think that's really good that they did that because it's we have credibility. We've delivered this game. I wish that it had the Sea of Legends, like a small thumbnail of the Sea of Legends or the box of Sea of Legends or the BGG score or a quote from Dice Tower or someone else that just said something nice about Sea of Legends. Just if you hadn't played Sea of Legends, you'd be like, oh, these guys. I think just having it in plain text there just doesn't quite sell enough that these are established people. And it does for me when I read it, but I think you could scroll past that pretty easily. So I want them to have some kind of call out there that just really helps me remember, oh, I heard a lot about that game. That was a good game. We should now elevate them as not, just someone that's never delivered anything before. They've delivered a game. It was well received. They should talk about it a little bit more. All right. All right. So, while war rages across 2 kingdoms, you are in control of a house of low-ranking nobles, using the events of the war to claw your way up into the halls of power. What are you willing to do to ensure your house's prestige and glory? Will you expose the sometimes literal skeletons in a rival's closet, cozy up to a powerful courtier, or usurp influence over a kingdom's faith? Break the rules, collect secrets, destroy families all in this noble war. That sounds super fun. I have in the back of my brain been wanting to do something that is like kingdom politics esque. I had one prototype and I didn't like it, so I didn't move any further with it. But I love this theme. It kind of reminds me of like a Crusader Kings type theme where you're controlling like a lineage and you're trying to elevate that lineage. So I think that's really fun. Cool. A Noble War is a game for 2 to 4 players who manipulate courts of 2 kingdoms and earn prestige for their house. Prestige! I love prestige in games. These courts are represented by ladders on opposite edges of the board, with the monarch of each kingdom at the top, and under the monarch are the courtiers. So you've got these 2 tracks on either side of the board, and yeah, you can kind of see that in this big picture here. I like that they jump right into gameplay. I am curious what you guys think. It is a very accessible page because of all the plain white text, but I'm curious. They use a lot of imagery, which I think is good because it breaks up that text. But I am curious what you guys think of that compared to some other campaigns we've looked at recently. So you have player boards, then you have the two houses that are at war, and then you're trying to affect that in order to come out on top. So they've got these really nice minis. I think the sculpts of the minis are really incredible. And they get really into that. But this is all just kind of like the how to play section. We're already at 40 minutes, and I have 3 more things I want to look at. So I am going to skip through a little bit of this faster than I should. So into the base game. I skipped something. Okay, into the what's in the box section, you have the base game at $75, and then you have all the houses here. That's what I was looking for. I think the artwork is really nice, and I love this teal color. Big fan of teal. Go Bellin. And I think that it's wonderful. I'm curious to see what the mini bases will end up looking like. I always forget about that in my campaigns until like almost the end of the development period. I'm like, we should probably make those more interesting. They're not terrible. They could ship exactly like that, but I wonder if that's something that they will try to upgrade later on. And then they have all the different I think it's 4 major houses for the base game. And all of the mini sculpts are just incredible. Like the level of detail in those is really cool. And I think each faction's artwork is really interesting too. I mean, I would not want to walk down a hallway with those massive horns on my head. I think I'd knock everything off the walls, but it looks very intimidating. So there's that. Dave, I just need to formally establish that IV Backed is a 90-minute show. That'll solve all the timing issues. It has to be 60 minutes. It has to be. Kevin, wow, I scrolled through the page and thought there was only minis shown. If you wait on each GIF, it shows more of the gameplay that I definitely missed out on. Yep, and I'm scrolling through the page pretty quick too. Sorry there, Kevin. Base components. So it is the 4 main factions, and then the soldier minis. To be clear, the blue and the red are the 2 sides fighting the war. You're not controlling those necessarily. I think you are somewhat, but like you don't win if the blue side wins or the red side wins. You win by gaining prestige during the war, by being like a minor player and playing things off of each other, which I find to be a very unique and compelling experience comparatively. It's not like Risk where it's just like you're throwing colored people at each other. Like that's not how you win. And I prefer that. It kind of reminds me, and I haven't played this, but this A War of Whispers, how there's a war going on and you're trying to benefit from the war, but you're not winning based on one side winning necessarily. But yeah. The Regal Edition. So the Regal Edition has the 4 main factions, 2 additional factions, and then a major component piece is added in each of the 2 factions. So I'm guessing they're valuing these at $25 a piece, or maybe it's $30 with a $5 discount, because it goes from $75 to $125 in the Regal Edition. What the Regal Edition has is 1 faction per expansion. So it's the orange and the purple factions, I believe. And then the orange faction, I think, comes with the dragon miniature, and the purple faction comes with the buildings. And it is, I think, a lot to shove into a box for $25. It is hard to overstate just how much pricing changes when you go to a second box. Boxes are very expensive. You have to have some kind of different storage solution. You have to have like a box big enough to fit that huge dragon mini. Like that is a lot to add. And I think $25 for that is a great price, actually. And I think that other people will disagree with me, but for what you are getting in the Regal Edition, that is a lot to add. Looks like nearly as much plastic as is in the base game once you add it all together. Now, I am not a fan of adding plastic together and deciding the price on that, but knowing how much it costs, not just for minis and stuff, but like a separate rule book for the new thing, you got to have a separate storage solution. You have the box, you have different design elements that you have to make, because you can't just use the main box art. You have to make a separate box art. Like it's a lot of work to add a separate expansion that is outside of the base game. And so they have a lot more in that. So Noble War is, I believe this is the orange faction. It's very white. No, it's definitely the white one. I was wrong. Not the orange faction. Forgive me. So it is the white faction there. That is the expansion faction. And that comes with the dragon. So the House of Valkyr sounds very dragony. I'm sure that they add to the gameplay by being in the game, and the dragon is a component and not just it seems like the dragon is a component and not just a pretty figure, even though it is a very pretty figure. That is a cool. I also like this image, how it pops out of the photo. I always love that 3D effect of doing that. I think that was the extra mile there for that image. And the next one is yellow. This color here. So the yellow people here. And they add all of these buildings. You have 2 church minis, 2 fief minis, and 2 castle minis. And they are also very nice sculpts. I'd like to know who sculpted this. They're very, very beautiful and very cool. So thank you. Sebastian corrected me. White and yellow faction, I believe. You're the best. Age of Adam. Those gifts at the top must be huge. Took me a super long time to get them loaded in. I'm going to go back up. I want to know. These guys, right? That's what we're talking about. They switch to the minis. They show actual like placement and like what you're doing. I think the how to play section is great. It's not as visually striking because it's in plain text, but the gifts are great. If you hadn't had time to check those out. Yeah. I think it's above and beyond as far as gifts go. Cool. Because some games don't try to teach you the game. And I don't think that's trying to teach you the game, but it's definitely showing you what an action would look like. Shoot, it's just a lot of sculpts, guys. Sculpts are expensive. Just like not talking about the molds. Molds are expensive. Adding an expansion like this is very expensive. I hope they convert really well at that top. It looks like they are. Mercy. Oh my gosh. 48 commoner pledges, which we had villagers or townspeople in the first one. Now we have commoners, which is even worse, but it's funny. But 48 backers there. So people saying, okay, I'm going to see what happens with the campaign. I might back in the pledge manager, which is great. I don't have anything against that. I think if you really want a game to succeed or there's lots of stretch goals, you should definitely back it. If you have the cash flow to do so, it definitely helps the game get visibility early on. The base game only has 10 backers. That is absurdly low. So they're doing a great job converting 173 backers at the Regal edition. I think it just needs more eyeballs on the page, and it'll boost up there because it's at about half its funding goal on the first day, which is good. I mean, it could obviously be better. You could be 1,000,000% funded, and everybody wants that. But it's funding a Kickstarter is very hard. I talk about Kickstarters that have funded all the time, and it seems like it happens a lot because I cover 3+ a week. There are so many Kickstarters that launch that do not fund, that we do not talk about because it's sad, and you can't talk about all of them, obviously. But like the amount of work that it takes to get here, like anyone that gets to this level of product page should be extremely proud because this is just an absurd amount of work, and I think it's really incredible minis. Like the minis in this game are a step above what almost any other campaign that I have seen recently is doing, except for maybe the one with the interchangeable heads that we looked at last week. But the problem with that is like the minis weren't that detailed. They were pre-painted, which is cool. They weren't that detailed. It was like the interchangeable heads that was really cool. This, like, just the level of detail in these is astounding. It's really nice. Austin, stop getting me interested in more games. I come here to see why I'm not interested in games, so I don't feel like the need to bag it. I think you should just always assume that this game doesn't, the games I cover don't exist. And I'm just talking about it from an educational perspective, and you don't need to worry about it, human. I'm not, this isn't a game. This is a classroom, and you're just attending. That's it. I started backing at $1 and telling myself that I'll just not back something later and use that to pay for an upgrade in the pledge manager. Yeah, definitely can. More dragons, please. Dark Fox, I think we're done with dragons. I don't think Masters of the Universe has dragons in it. I am sorry, but I am at 48 minutes and I have not even gotten to the last 3, so I'm going to have to go a little faster. I'm really glad they added this Regal Edition components page. It seems redundant, but I don't think it is. I think showing what that extra $50 is in one image is going to help them. And one of the reasons that might be why they're converting so well is it shows these awesome pieces here. I do wish I had a size on this dragon and a size on these buildings, and they might have covered them. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Does it have on the dragon? It does. Silly me. I just need to open my eyes. 120 milliliters is a big mini. That's nice. Man, that's a cool sculpt. It's got like a window or a door there that it's like standing on. There's a lot of cool dragon sculpts out there. I'm not saying you should bag it just because it has a cool dragon sculpt, but it's definitely not a bad dragon sculpt. It's very nice. All right, cool. you can see I watched Jesse's video here. That's how I got the subterfuge and negotiation. Mark has a Dice Tower preview here. I'm sure that this is. Oh, it's not Mark. It's Ella. Hi, Ella. Sorry, I just assumed you were Mark because it was a Dice Tower preview. That's great. And then moving on from there, I'll look at the minis in gray. I believe they are printing them in color. I'm almost positive they are. That's probably just a prototype. I have seen nothing on the page that would make me think they're not printing them in color. But yes. Some very cool and richly detailed minis in this upcoming Noble War. Cool. Okay, so this is probably my biggest complaint. And it's nitpicky, and I understand what they are going for. They were going for a very accessible page. It's written all over the page because it's all plain text that can be read, and then it has images. And so anyone can get to this page and access it. And I think like whoever designed the page was going for accessibility, and that is fine. But I might have 2 pages for that reason because I didn't even know these were quotes. I thought it was just because it has an asterisk here. I thought it was like a disclaimer the first time I looked at this page. I almost scrolled past this because I was like, okay, that's the disclaimer section. And so I was like, kept on going. These are quotes, and they're good quotes. A Noble War is deceptively deep. Early, you think you have the game solved in a careful planning, but the late game, you realize you should have been paying attention to what other players were doing and probably scheming more to undermine them. Excuse me. I can't wait to play again soon. Paul White, game designer, Robot Quest Arena. Like, these are great quotes, but I had no idea they were quotes. It's just not enough. Like, it at least needs a title there that says quotes or something. Does it say that somewhere? No. So I would say that definitely needs to change. And maybe that's like in the plan. It just didn't happen for launch day. Believe me, Sam and I and Zach were up till like 5 a.m. before launching Veiled Fate. And there was stuff that got left out or almost got left out because of how intense it is to launch a Kickstarter page. Like, I get it. But I didn't even know these were quotes. And so I really want them to change that because there's so much good going for this game and so much that makes me want to play it. I just think the page could just use a little bit more because there's so many good details, right? Like this, I love this like art into the final minis. I love the dragon peeking out above that image. And it's funny because they have their flavor text in actual designed images. You could click on this and that's a designed image, but not a plain text. But their quotes aren't. They're like playtest quotes or reviewer quotes aren't. All right, moving on. Shipping. I think shipping is, so we'll talk about this. Shipping is more expensive than other campaigns somewhat. There are a lot of other campaigns that are charging this much shipping. This is reflective of what shipping actually costs right now. So is shipping too expensive? No. Is it more expensive, and will it possibly affect their backing compared to other campaigns? Yes. And that is a really hard place to be because that is what shipping probably is costing them, but it's not what their competitors are charging. And yes, competitors, when you have a campaign live next to someone else that has a campaign live, people only have so much money. Some people only have so much money. There are people that just back everything that's out there. But most people have to pick a few games from, a year of what comes out on Kickstarter. But I don't think this is unfair. I think that this is what it costs. It's just it's going to be a bit of a challenge, just marketing wise, I think, to get over that because the Regal edition is probably massive and probably weighs a bunch. But $35 for shipping in the US is huge. It's huge. Yeah, that's just a thing. Yeah, a bit heavy on the plain text is something that Kevin said. I agree, and I like that it's accessible. I think they should copy and paste this into a different page or just like a website and just have that exactly like it is now and have a link at the beginning and then design some of these sections. Because if you look at this and then you look at Flamecraft, the page levels are very different. And that's hard for me because I'm excited about a Noble War. And I think I probably would enjoy the gameplay of a Noble War more. That's just because that's the type of game I like. Now, I'm really excited to play Flamecraft with my wife and our friends that aren't as sneaky and mean possibly as I am when I play games. I don't think my wife would want to play a Noble War, but I have plenty of friends that would. So it's a weird place to be. Weird place to be. Cool. That's that page. Oh, dang it. 54 minutes. We haven't even gotten to Masters of the Universe. Luckily, this one's going to be short. I don't think you're going to come out of this backing it. And here's why. I don't think you can back it unless you move to Europe. I believe that this campaign is only available in mostly Europe. I think there's a few regions. And I don't think that's as clear as it should be. And I don't understand why. All right, there it is. It's right there. I missed it. I missed it my first scroll, and I was like, on pledge, I'm going to look and see where they say that because I did not see it on my first thing. I went right by it. You cannot back this if you are in the continental United States or outside the continental United States. If you are not in some of these countries that you see up here at the top, you cannot do it. I was talking to someone about this, and it was another previewer, and they were like, yeah, oh, it was Jesse. So Jesse had a Masters of the Universe game, and he was like, hey, do you want to play? And I did. I really did, but we ran out of time, and I didn't get to play. And I don't know if it was this one or a different one, but I know that there are I think there are other ways that we might get a Masters of the Universe game. I don't know who's making it. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know if it's coming out. I don't know anything about it. All I know is I almost had a chance to play this game, I think, and I didn't have time, and now I am sad because it looks really cool. All right, skipping on past that. First 48-hour bonus, you get the Orko miniature there, so that's fun. So very interesting that you have this. It's nowhere up here, but it does have these flags here. I just assumed that was languages the first time I looked at it. And then you get down all the way to here. This is the first time that it's like you cannot selected EU countries. I wish it said only in selected EU countries or something that's like not available in America. Get out of here, you Yanks. Like you can't do this because I didn't see it again. Is anything here? I didn't see it again until here. All the way at the bottom when I was like, huh. Due to our licensing agreement, we are limited to the following countries regarding deliveries: Germany, the Czech Republic, Poland, Austria, Spain, Italy, France, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. I don't even know how to say that country, apparently. Sweden. And I was like, where's America? And then I like scrolled around looking for it. There it is. Come On is launching a Masters of the Universe game in September. So, Successful Geek, I don't know if you could tell how awkward I was. I actually knew that a little bit. I just didn't know if it was already announced. And I was like, do I have insider information? Do I? Is this the Come On game? So I think Jesse had that game. And so that's why I was confused. Anyway, so I saw this morning that it had launched. And I was like, oh, this is the one that I almost got to play. I don't think it is. Maybe it's not. Yeah. You guys decide. Do you want me to cover this game more? Because I put it on the schedule today thinking I could buy it in America. And then I researched it and was like, I can't actually buy this. I will cover it quickly. Let's do that. But yes, you will be tempted in September. Human, but not now. It's a time travel game. They're going back in time and fighting King Grayskull. I think the minis look great. All the minis they show, for the most part, are these painted minis, or maybe even digitally painted. They do not come like that. They come in a plastic color. I do not like GameFound's approach to this, where it's like daily stretch goals, because you got all the daily stretch goals here, and then you got them again here. It's redundant, and it's all information I can't get yet. So I think it's just way too much scrolling for information that I don't have. The only thing it tells me is there's a lot in this game that I don't get to see yet. Anyway. Okay, moving on. There are a lot of cool sculpts, and this is one of the best mini bases campaigns I've ever seen. Look at those bases. They look incredible. Really interesting minis too, really highly detailed minis. All right, guys, we're gonna give this one a grain of salt because there wasn't anything that like blew me away. It's for fans of Masters of the Universe. If you're a Masters of the Universe fan, you're gonna be interested in this. If you're not, I'm thinking you probably won't buy this. It's definitely got a nostalgia element and a character element that would make you want to buy it. It is interesting that they have so many painted mini section, and then in the actual sections with what's in the box, it definitely says All models come unpainted. It's a very short page too. Actually, I take it back. It's a long page, but it's all what's in the box sections. It's also very expensive. The $99 Euro pledge is the base game. Then there's a $179 pledge that comes with 84 models. 84 models is so many models. I thought, how many do we have? 7, 21, 22. I thought 22 models was a lot for a board game, and 84 is absurd. That's so many. Yep. Okay, we're gonna skip past this just because we can't buy it. I can't buy it. Look at this copyright section. That's a lot of copyright. I'm curious about your thoughts on page design on looks and marketing versus accessibility. All right, this is a good question. We can pause right there and just Archon does amazing minis. Yes, they do. Those minis are wonderful. Okay, Successful Geek. I'm curious about your thoughts on page design and looks versus marketing accessibility. Marketing and accessibility is something we should all do, or accessibility is something we should all do, mostly because it is the right thing to do. If someone with some kind of accessibility challenge, that could be something as simple as poor eyesight, or they could even be blind. Blind people play board games. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of different types of challenges that could stop someone from being able to understand or gain information from a Kickstarter page. And for that reason, just like we have parking spots that are handicapped or anything else, for that reason, we should have accessible pages. And we did not do a good job of that on Moonrakers and Failed Fate. It's something we are trying to do a great job of on Mythic Mischief. However, I think taking your page and completely constructing it in such a way that is completely accessible but does not make it aesthetically appealing is a bad plan when you can do both. You can do both. You can have a link at the top in plain text that says, if you need an accessible version of this page, please click here. And that will take them to a plain text version with pictures of the page. I think that having a completely accessible version that is mostly plain text, and you guys have seen me cover plain text version or plain text campaigns in the past that I think are great. I think A Noble War did not do a bad job on their page. I think there's a lot of really cool images on the page. The plain text might not make you read it as well, and I think some sections need more design, like the quote sections. But I think it's still a great page. I'm not knocking that page in any way. However, I think that the aesthetics of a fully designed page where you can make the text bigger when you want someone to pay attention to something is very important. Or something that I've talked about before, and it's something that I am a baby at learning too. It's something that Zach teaches me every once in a while. It's called visual hierarchy. It means that the thing that you want the person to know the most or read first, whatever, has to be the biggest thing or the most appealing thing that's going to draw people in, right? Something that is really important for visual hierarchy is like stopping people when they're scrolling the page too. Like it's probably not the same term, but like I didn't know those were quotes. I thought they were addendums. I thought they were random, like, hey, like this is not a finished product. It had an asterisk. Like I thought that it wasn't something I needed to pay attention to, and it ended up being a quote that looked really good. And so overall, I think you should have an accessible page because it's the right thing to do, but you cannot sacrifice the aesthetics of your page for the mass market because it'll potentially greatly affect your funding. All right, that was a long rant. Hopefully that answered your question. Going back to Masters of the Universe, Sebastian said this campaign looks like an 80s theme, good on theme, or like an 80s campaign, good on theme. I agree. It has a very 80s feel, which is great from them. All right, going to Wicked and Wise. So this is I mentioned at the beginning, Weird Games. 10 created, 280 backed. Weird Giraffe Games, I salute you. That is an absurd number. They're based in Madison, Alabama area. And let's go ahead and real quick look at their other games because they have quite the list. It's 10 different things. So Gifted Tulips, Studies in Sorcery, Big Easy Busking. If you hadn't seen that, we backed that one for sure. Fire in the Library. I think Fire in the Library is probably the biggest game. I want to make sure about that. Actually, Tumbletown did quite well too. I forgot about that. Oh, Gifted Tulips did pretty well too. That's awesome. I think that they are one of my favorite smaller game companies. They make, and it's just smaller as a number of people, and then also they make smaller box games, and I think they make really good smaller box games. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to cover them. I think they do a really good job. But it is not a complicated page. And once again, it has a lot of plain text. But they have some elements that I think are really, really good. Like their quotes are really well pulled out. I think that they're missing a little bit of the laurels that we talk about. Like their past successes should be here. It should be from the creators of Fire in the Library and Get the Tulips, those sort of things. What's in the box section? Moving straight on, their how to play is super high. You guys know I appreciate that. They have a how to play Wicked and Wise video right here, which is always good, and then just an overview and some gifts. Gotta have gifts these days. Gifts make everything better. All right, moving on from there, this is a dragons game. If you hadn't noticed, it's dragons and I believe mice, which cracks me up. Yep. So dragon is definitely the theme for this Tuesday. What is this? The 10th of August. It's a dragon day. And they have a 2-player version video right here. And then they have really nice reviews. Eric, what's Eric playing? Wonderful channel. I'm not as familiar with Purple Phoenix games or board game mechanics, but I know Eric, not personally, but I know his stuff. And then Ito. So another really good coverage here. $25 is such an approachable pledge level, right? That's like so wonderful. And then the $45 pledge level comes with a nice playmat. So just wanted to cover this really quickly. I think they really went above and beyond to have all the information on the page that I would say smaller campaigns like this don't generally get to, like the Why Back Now, and then retailers and stretch goals and stuff like that. I think they do a really good job about making their campaign stretch. And then like shipping is really cheap. It's obviously a very small game, so it's a small box, but they're a cool company. And here's the Wicked and Wise team, which they have big teams and generally very diverse teams, it looks like. So that's awesome. But yes, I've met Carla and her husband. So yeah, really cool. I liked meeting them and I like their games. So I have Tumbletown. Tumbletown's right over there. And I don't know if I have Fire in the Library here or not. It might be at the office, but yeah, cool games. And then Bantam West. I am at an hour and 6 minutes. So I am going to go through this quickly. I'm very excited that Bantam is back up over 200. I personally think this should be a $400,000 plus campaign. I do not believe it'll get there, unfortunately. They are at 207-ish thousand. They've got 38 hours to go, so they've got a good amount of time. Let's get that as high as we possibly can. Not only is Ike someone I think deserves it, that poured his heart and soul in this. He's a military man. He's an officer. Really deserves support. And I saw this in the Kickstarter. Someone said, after learning about the game, I thought I would support the game just because of Ike. And then they said, and then I watched the gameplay and I was hooked. And I was like, I get where you're coming from. I was hooked from the beginning in the gameplay. I've played this twice. I loved it. I wanted to keep playing every time because we played a very short game both times I was able to play, just because I have a Kickstarter coming out in 3 weeks and I don't have a lot of time right now. But it is definitely a game I am very much looking forward to. I think it is in my top 3 most anticipated, probably sitting at the second spot, right behind. Wow, I can't say that and then forget my most anticipated game. Oh, no. I'll think about it by the end of it. All right, keep on going down. Bantam West, they completely redid this page. We've already covered this page, so I'm going to cover on things that I thought were different. There is less pictures here and more GIFs. And they get a little bit more information on what you're doing. And then a lot more GIFs. So this is very nice. It kind of gets through a nice little walkthrough here. Multiple player goals. This was not here, and that's really, really nice and one of the big differentiators that I saw. Fighting for survival. This mechanics page is from the original campaign. I remember that one. Oh, this is the gameplay highlight video that we did. You're about to see my face. Look at there. Okay. Once again, I am not associated with this campaign at all. I do not make a dime if you back this. I am just a fan. This is the base game. It's all unlocked stretch goals, and the Shadow Governors talks about those things. Got some really nice cabins and things. That's the terrain upgrade pack. I do want to talk about things that they still have locked. So at 300K, they have game trays. At 325, people are like, why don't you just add those things in? It'll boost people. People will like stay on the campaign, and people will be more likely to back. Guys, it is so expensive to add that stuff. Like just the designs of it is thousands upon thousands of dollars. I can't quite remember how much a game trays design is, and they're wonderful, and we love working with them. I'm not saying don't do that if you're a campaign. Like game trays is incredible, but like many thousands of dollars to get them to make the design, and then you have to put the design in every game, and you have to pay for the mold that makes the design. Like, it is so much money to add inserts to a game. At least $1, if not more, just per game after you make the molds, after you pay for the designs. And it adds up really, really fast. Anyway, so moving on past there, they redid their stretch goals. And I'm really glad they did, because they actually show better what they unlocked here, right? They had 45, 55, 65, 75, 85K, 95K. Before, it was like a board that just had it all listed and showed what was unlocked. I think this is a much smarter way to do it. And they really show you all that is added in the game. These are our really, really close ones, right? We're at 205-ish. We're going to 210, and we're getting new horses, new weapons, new enemy decks, which are really cool legendary beasts. I actually really want that. Knowing I've played the game and I've seen some of the legendary beast things, because there's a legendary beast goal for one of the characters. Anyway, moving on. I think all of these are very achievable. They still have a lot of time. I think when you're getting into the gold, these are the ones that are just less likely at this point, and that sucks. But they just are, just because of how much money away we are at this point. Now, final 48 hours are sometimes magical, and I think this game is 100% worth it. I think that they should be at 400K. It's a really hard time to make Kickstarters. There's a lot of really good Kickstarters that are out there. But I think Ike did an incredible job, and this is one of the best first created, up there with the Chicago. My brain has stopped working because it's late and I've been streaming for an hour. And this is why we don't do an hour and a half show, is my brain stops working after an hour. Scarface 1920, I believe it was called. One of the other really amazing first-time creators campaigns I've seen this year. Showing how close they are to unlocking German and French. Now, I really, really like this, right? Because you can either do it by the pledge goals hitting that, or the number of backers. And I think that's something that the Germans especially were really asking for. They really wanted a German version of the game. And so showing this progression, the Germans are going to be like, we only need 75 more German people to back this. That's not that much. Way closer and more achievable than, the extra money. So I think that's cool. Yeah, this is all about the same. More quotes. Us right there. Y'all, this game is great. Very much looking forward to our copy. Very true. Still believe that. Would say it again. I mean, shipping $16, that's definitely a great price on that. Okay, I think that's where we're going to end. Remember, we're going to do 2 giveaways next week. Hey, Sebastian helped me. And Aaron, thank you guys. I got there on my own. I didn't need you. Look how many are at $1 pledge. 600. Y'all. Oh, thank you for telling me that, Dave. Okay. Time for math. People want stretch. This is why I don't like stretch goals. You guys know I don't like stretch goals. We're going to have some stretch goals. We had a stretch goal in Veiled Fate. We technically didn't hit it during the campaign. We hit it in the pledge manager, and we were like, we're going to do it anyway. $60,000 roughly is sitting in the $1 backers. Now, are all those going to convert? Were all those ever going to convert? No. But that is an absurd amount of money. And people are like, well, it's not hitting its stretch goals, so I'm going to go down to the $1 pledge level and see if it hits its stretch goals. Oh, I'm going to go down to the $1 pledge to see if it hits the stretch goals before I back. Well, if all of those people, let's just say, not all of them, let's just say 50K of it was in there, right? They're at 256, maybe 57K. And where was that on here? At 250K, we're in the gold. We're in the gold stretch goals at that point. And that isn't too far away from adding Sundrop. That's not too far away from adding the game trays. Like, that should be close. That makes me so mad for poor Ike and his team, just because I know that's why people are down at the $1 pledge level. And that's when it matters, right? When it's a first-time campaign. Like, if you can not back at the $1 pledge, and you can upgrade it, please do, because like a $1 pledge for me on Veiled Fate, there's no like little stretch goals that we're trying to hit along the way. In fact, it's better for me in some cases if you stay as $1 pledge. Now, hear me, I do not want you to be a $1 pledge on because it takes away from the overall coverage. If you look at a campaign and it has 5,000 $1 pledges, you're gonna be like, what's wrong with this game that these people aren't ready to jump in? But I make more money on a $1 pledge that converts in the pledge manager than I do on someone that backs on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter takes a bigger cut than our pledge manager does. So technically, if they back, I make more money, but I way prefer to have that on the page, especially in this case where you're getting more game for your buck if you do upgrade. All right, rant over. Love you, Ike. You should be really, really proud. Like I said earlier in the show, it is so much work to get to this point, and you absolutely smashed this campaign. And I think that I'm excited to see this final product, and then excited to see how you grow and how your next project goes. So yeah. All right, guys. Way too much time for me ranting. I feel like I ranted twice today. I ranted on the accessibility thing, and I ranted on the $1 pledge thing. And like for some campaigns, it doesn't matter. Like a $1 pledge is fine. On this campaign, it does matter. It does matter. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're doing a giveaway twice next week for these comments. So after the show, comment in the comment section. It could be something about any of these, but let's go ahead and say Flamecraft, just because Flamecraft is just so stinking gorgeous, right? The artwork, the game, all of it looks amazing. Just tell me what you're excited about in Flamecraft. It could be the dragons, it could be anything, it could be the plush toy. And that'll make you eligible for a drawing. Next week, there'll be 2 people drawn for a Moonrakers giveaway. It's going to be Kickstarter exclusive edition or something else. But yeah, please comment after the show, and we will get you in there. Thanks, guys. It was wonderful talking to you about Kickstarters again. Talk to you later.